Hi everyone, I'm Josh, and this is Josh Wright Piano TV. Thanks so much for joining me today. I wanted to talk about getting left-hand chords in a waltz softer. This was actually a follow-up question that I read in the comments of the Guide to Rubato video that I did a couple of weeks ago. And somebody in the comments asked, and I only usually read my comments within the first 24 hours of posting a video because I have hundreds of videos on YouTube, but I do like to try to respond as often as possible within those first 24 hours of posting the video. Somebody asked, can you please do a video on how to get those chords softer? And I hadn't even thought of explaining that in the video because we were going over rubato. But I wanted to go over a few concepts with each of you today in order to gain better control over the softness of these. You can also reference my videos called Ghost Notes and Quiet Hands, but we'll probably recap a couple of those things anyway in this video. The first thing that I would do is understand, this was something that my brother and I learned from our teacher, Susan Dwellmeyer, within just the first couple of lessons by studying with her. She would always talk about how movement can help you control the hammer speed better, and it is true. So try just playing this A minor chord. This is the Waltz in A minor by Chopin. It's one of the posthumous waltzes, I believe. So I think it's labeled B150. It's not an opus. It's B150. So just try playing an A minor chord vertically. You can get pretty soft. It's not that that's completely out of control. But now try reaching in just a little bit towards your fallboard and then just scoot back as you play it down. Scoot back just a centimeter or two, like a half an inch. And you'll notice that you can kind of feel the weight of the hammer a little bit better. Okay, so grab that and practice just stroking back on those keys slightly. I mean, we're not talking like this. We're talking very gently. Another technique that I want to go over is placing your hand, let's say on this fallboard here, and I want you to feel equal weight in your 5, 3, and 1, if that's the chord that you're going to play, 5, 3, and 1. I want you to feel equal weight in each of those fingertips, okay? Just kind of push into the keys, bounce your wrist up and down a little bit. Feel that natural weight equalized between those 3 fingers. Then try doing this. And you'll notice that that weight is more equalized. So often what I hear is students will play things like inconsistent chord levels. So some of their chords might be voiced towards the bottom. Some of them might be the middle, some of them might be the top. And that largely is due to the contour of the hand, but if you place it on a flat surface and you feel the equal weight in each of those fingertips, and then you translate that same feeling down onto the keyboard, wow, that actually feels pretty good. Another piece of advice on how to play softer is to play really loudly. I've mentioned this in other videos, but I remember I was playing Ondine. And my teacher said one of the best ways to practice is actually to practice fortissimo. And I said, why in the world would you do that? And she said, well, if you play loudly, you're kind of drilling down into the key bed. And if you take this off, this comes right off, and you look at that little felt pad, you can feel, you start to get a little visual. It's just a little circular pad. It's like the size of a quarter or so. And you start to understand that you're pushing down into somewhat of a little cushion. It's pretty firm, and that just slides right back on like that. And you start to understand that the key depth is really not that great. First of all, it's quite minimal, but you also start to understand exactly where the bottom of that key bed is, so that when you go to play soft, it's like you can just graze it and you can play. Quite soft. Another way to get good. This is especially helpful with like scalar passages, like the stuff I was just playing. So this video is better titled "How to Play Softer in Anything." I know I opened it with left hand in a waltz, but this is how to play softer in general. You can also practice finger staccato. So just to get that minimal touch. And get that really nice soft flowing texture. This piano is pretty nice, so of course the quality of your piano can help you play softer, but don't give me the excuse, my piano doesn't have any dynamics, unless it's just a digital keyboard with 0 dynamics. Even if you have an old beat up upright piano, I played on a very old upright piano growing up for part of my practice. We also had a grand piano, but my brothers and I would switch off, so a lot of the time I was on the upright piano. And there was different feels to the two different pianos that we had. The upright was very bright and it had a very shallow key depth, but we still had to get our dynamics really good. It wasn't just an excuse like, oh, I'll wait till I'm on the grand piano to work on dynamics. So you can also apply that same light feeling. I wouldn't be advocating finger staccato with chords, because you can get inconsistencies with the sound like that, but pretty soon that really helps. One of the famous examples that I always think of is starting this nocturne. It's pretty intimidating to start that, but I noticed if I just sunk my arm weight and I pulled back slightly, and as I came up, I scooted my hand a little bit towards the fallboard so I could re-stroke back like that. So I'm kind of going out, pulling my hand up, and then pulling it out again. So to a normal person, it just looks like I'm going back and forth like that. But if you look very closely, I'm just stroking back ever so slightly to give me a little bit more of an advantage stroking those notes. This is the Chopin Nocturne in D flat, Opus 27, number 2. A really soft left hand this way as well. Just bringing in that ghost notes video concept that can also help with this, because when you're kind of riding that razor's edge of getting as soft as possible, you might be tempted to get ghost notes. Like that's where if you go to play a chord, not all of the chord notes sound. So the way you avoid ghost notes is actually using heavier arm weight, but using that stroking motion to control the hammer speed a little bit better. So I hope all of these tips, I know this has kind of been a collection of tips from different pieces, the D-flat Nocturne by Chopin, Ravel's Ondine, and then the Chopin Waltz in A minor. But I hope each of these tips helps you to learn how to play softer in each of your pieces that you need to play softer. But for the most part, you do need to always be thinking about playing softer in one hand or the other, according to which hand has the voiced melody and which hand has the accompaniment. So apply these tips. If any of you have any questions, my email is josh@joshwrightpiano.com. I also will leave a few links in the description below. The first one is for a free webinar containing 10 of my favorite tips. I use these tips every day in my teaching and in my own practicing. I'll also leave links for 2 of my paid courses. If you want to take your playing to an even higher level beyond what this channel teaches, goes a little more in depth into concepts and repertoire pieces and exercises. And then the last link I will leave is a link to all the gear that I use to record myself, and also some beginner books and other fun things in there. So if you want to check that out, I have a list of all the gear that I recommend, including a whole section on beginner books, because a lot of you email me with questions about what are some good beginner books I could take a look at. Have a great week, everyone. Good luck in your practice sessions.